Welcome back to Switch to Linux and the weekly news roundup. This is the privacy, smart home, and security section. These are recorded live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you can catch the show live or just watch the edits. So first, Uber is always looking out for safety, and part of this new rollout is in several cities. Uber will now have the option for the passenger and the driver to record audio of the whole ride. Well, that could get awkward. But the way they're actually implementing it is actually pretty cool. So looking at the audio recording feature, they have this set up in such a way that both the driver, I believe, I didn't get this clearly, but I believe both the driver and the passenger have to consent to record the audio, and one of them knows if the other one is recording. So the passenger will see if the driver allows it on their app, and then they will have the option. And then when they record it, it is encrypted only on the device, and it cannot be taken off the device without the driver or the passenger submitting a complaint and then having the ability to attach the audio recording to the complaint from the app. And then when that happens, then you can go in there and you can have a look at the you can go have a look at the how the my brain has just melted down. My apologies, guys. When the driver or the passenger submits the complaint, they go ahead and submit the audio file with it encrypted, and then a technician at Uber will then be able to decrypt the file and show it. So that is what they're doing there. And so this is actually, if you're going to have an app that's going to record stuff, this is the best way to do it. I think that I have no complaints about how they're doing it. Now, I'm not getting into an Uber anytime soon, but yeah, they have done this in a good way because it does stay on the devices unless it is used. And I think even the device auto deletes it like after 60 days or something. All right, well, Tor has been under attack. There's been some Tor censorship going on in Russia. This is also coupled together with some people compromising a lot of nodes. Now, Tor, some people are like, oh, you can still be tracked and all this kind of stuff. No, if you're using Tor correctly, you generally can't. It's the one thing that many intelligence agencies have not yet been able to figure out. And the only way to figure out how to decrypt somebody is to control at least 2 of the 3 nodes. And what has happened is, this is separate to the censorship story. I'm just telling another article that I read that I did not include in the news. What happened there is there was one particular entity that kept spinning up hundreds of nodes. And so Tor ended up shutting them all down, which is good because they basically want each entity to really only be controlling a few of the nodes. Now, what's happening over here in Russia is Russia's basically saying, hey, Tor allows you to view things that we do not allow because we are the iron rule of our company, kind of like just a few steps above beyond America. And so they've blocked a lot of Tor. Now, there's still a way to run Tor through Russia, and that is to run a Tor bridge. So the Tor project is asking individual people to help build more Tor bridges to help decensor the web for Russian users, because that is a way to get around Russia's censoring of the project. So this is definitely, Tor is a really good way to stay anonymous on the web, and this is something that you can do. So if you've been interested in Tor bridges, go ahead and look into that now because it's going to be important. Well, Clearview is close to being awarded a U.S. patent for its facial recognition tech that everyone else in the world says is creepy. And this is what is the problem with America. We're like, hey, that's amazing. Have some money and block out the system so nobody else can do anything with it. Meanwhile, they're sitting here violating the terms of service of every big tech by collecting and harvesting all this data, processing it, and creating databases about it that, hey, I do not consent. So I do not consent. So there you have it. But here is what Clearview AI, they're basically, while they are being banned in several places, Australia forced them to delete a bunch of data, EU is looking at suing them, and the United States is giving them a patent. Yay. All right. Well, Verizon overrides opt-out preferences in push to collect browsing history. So this is sort of an old story, but it is a take up on a new story. Okay. Now, what had happened here is, if you remember a while ago, and I remember we covered this a long time ago, but Verizon was trying to collect a bunch of data and a bunch of users opted out of this because it's like, no, that's creepy, Verizon. Well, they basically renamed the whole program. They didn't really change much. They just gave it a new name, and then they just opted everybody in again. Because, hey, despite it's all the exact same thing, it's actually a different thing because we called it by a different name. Because down is up and up is down, and peace is war and war is peace. And so because of that, Verizon has opted a whole lot of people into a data collection push that people have previously opted out. So if you are a Verizon customer, log into your online platform or your app and make sure that you're are still opted out of all these, because they're literally taking the data, they're selling it to people, they're using it for all sorts of marketing tracking, they're attaching ads to you, all sorts of crazy crap that should be illegal but isn't in the United States for some reason. And what's opening them up to a big lawsuit is the fact that it's the same program they had, they just changed the name of it and just opted everybody in and didn't let anybody know. And so very slimy. So if you're using Verizon in a couple after our next story, we'll have an affiliate link for Mint Mobile. I switched to Mint Mobile for my primary phone and saved hundreds of dollars a year. My service is just as good. But anyway, before we get into that, Google Pixel mail-in repairs have allegedly twice resulted in leaked pictures and a privacy nightmare. Now, Louis Rossmann did an amazing breakdown of the story, analyzing all the different details and things. So the skinny of it is, this lady had a phone that wasn't working, and she was actually like a pretty high up level somebody somewhere. I forget exactly where, but she had this Google Pixel 5a and it wouldn't turn on, so she couldn't wipe the device before sending it in. So she sends it in, and FedEx alleges that it was delivered. Google says it was not delivered. And then they get her back a phone, but then shortly after getting a phone back because it was lost somewhere, all of a sudden, Google notifications were turned off, two-factor was turned off, her pictures started leaking online, and all sorts of crazy stuff had happened. They had gotten into her Dropbox account and all these things. So first and foremost, stop tying all this crap to your phone, people. Get a computer, use the computer, and shut the computer down when you're working. There's no earthly reason to have Dropbox attached to your phone, okay? First and foremost. But that being said, the problem we have with this is that in order to get your phone repaired by these companies under our current ability to repair things is to mail it into a big company. Okay. And that would really be the bad thing. And so, so with all of this being said, what happens here is that, when you're forced to go to one company, so you forced to take your phone, the Apple phone, to the Genius Bar, which they can't actually fix anything because they're definitely not geniuses. And then what happens is they ship the phone out to a giant central processing center where people are overworked and underpaid and don't really care. And it opens up too many causes for abuse. Okay, that's what it does. Too many causes for abuse. And so with all of this, the thing is that we need to have right to repair, because I would rather go to a local company. Because when you have a local company or dealing with a local company, they have a lot less chance of screwing you off. Period. And if a local company is not available, then I'd rather send it to somebody like Louis Rossmann. Louis Rossmann does amazing work, but if there were a local company that could fix the phone, I'd rather deal with a local company than send it in. But if I have the choice between giving it to Google, who sends it to a nameless warehouse, or sending it into Louis Rossmann, I would absolutely send it into Louis Rossmann. As a last case, I would send it out to Google. Because for all of these people, Google and Apple, they keep on saying, well, we need to stop right to repair, because in right to repair, these guys can steal your data. Well, there aren't really any cases of these small stores hiding, stealing your data, but there's tons of cases of Apple and Google and all these guys stealing your data. And so there we have it. We need right to repair so we can choose not to send things out. Well, as I said, we do have an affiliate for Mint Mobile. If you want to jump on over to Mint Mobile, you can get on over here and use $15 a month. We'll actually get you your data at 4 gigabytes. And by the way, their hotspot is unmetered, so you can actually full high speed on that. Sometimes I'll get to a space where I'm traveling in the van where I don't get as good of internet speed on my main connection, and so I actually hotspot it off my phone, which works just fine. And so with all of that being said, guys, Mint Mobile is a good option. You can go to my affiliate link there, tlm.li/mm, and that will help support the channel. So with that, guys, let's kind of look over at some smart home tech next. So first up in home tech news, there is a new robot that is being created that has extraordinarily lifelike expressions. Yeah, this probably should have been robots, but I had one robot, so this was just too creepy not to share. Hopefully it actually loads. It kind of looks like one of those Caesar statues, doesn't it? Creepy. It's creepy. Pick it down. Pick it down. This is like creepy. So yeah, they're kind of working on these, making them as lifelike as conceivably possible. Here's another one here with more face tones. Kind of reminds me of the cyborgs on Alien, doesn't it? And then, of course, we had smart home tech is thriving right now. Entertainment devices are the biggest winners. And this is going through looking at the markets. Q3 2021, they were at 221.8. Is this, I don't know, probably million. I don't know. Over year growth, 100% over year growth, 100% over year. They're like, oh, this is amazing. Home tech is just doing some amazing things, and it's so good, and it's so perfect. Until there's a giant Amazon outage, and all of the home tech stuff just simply. Because this week there was an outage on AWS. Louis Rossmann talked about he had all these different services out there. But every one of them used AWS as their backend, so it shut down everything, which is kind of crazy. So the outage at Amazon's cloud computing arm left thousands of people without working refrigerators, Roombas, doorbells, security systems, thermostats. Basically, all of the stuff that you've attached to the cloud pretty much stopped working. And so this is the thing you have to remember is you buy all this smart tech. You're like, oh, this is so amazing. Well, when the back-end server or the internet goes down, it simply vanishes. And that is kind of a problem that we have. So yeah, you have all this smart home stuff, but after a while, it's not all that smart anymore. And on to security. Car trackers are using Apple AirTags to track high-end vehicles to steal them later. So getting one of these devices, you're like, oh, that's a nice little car. Let's go ahead and put a tracker on there. You can track the whole thing around, see where all it's going, and then, go back and seal it later. This is kind of tied in where San Francisco is having this problem where a lot of people are being robbed and things. And of course, you got to defund those evil police. And so they're barely even checking into these, and they're just releasing press like, hey, if you get robbed, go ahead and just give them everything. How about you let us carry firearms, and when we get robbed, we can shoot back? I mean, you don't have a problem charging a bunch of gangsters in Chicago with getting involved in mutual combat in the streets. Why not protect yourself with some robbers if you're not going to do anything? But no, this is California we're talking about. So, whatever. But anyway, this one's, I don't think this was even California, though. It's York Regional. Is that related to New York? I don't know. But basically, people are putting AirTags onto the cars. Allows you to track the cars and figure out where they are and steal them later. Why not? So be aware of that. This one was a neat one. So if you install Windows, like if you buy build a computer, and instead of you're like, I don't want to buy a Microsoft license, I'll just go online and grab one. Well, KMS Pico is a way that you can unlock your Microsoft software. The problem is a lot of cases where you find it online, they are actually packaging it with a lot of malware that can literally spy on everything that you're doing on your Windows computer. So there is actually a list. So Cryptbot, capable of collecting sensitive information from cryptocurrency wallets, secure browser, the Brave browser, a cryptocurrency wallet, Opera browser, Waves client and exchange, another crypto wallet, Google Chrome, basically crypto wallets and web browsers. They're pretty much stealing data on that. And so make sure if you are going to be installing Windows on a PC you're building, buy a real license. They're like $100. Okay. If $100 breaks you, switch to Linux. All right. And Microsoft seizes domains used by highly sophisticated attackers in China. This one makes me feel a little turry, because basically what's happening is Microsoft saying, hey, there's a bunch of these guys. So they're seeking a court order, and the court order allows Microsoft to go in and actually seize the servers. Why doesn't the authorities seize the servers? This is why we are not in a capitalist society. We are in a corporatocracy. When Microsoft is given the latitude to seize servers on an international company, we all have problems, particularly when most of your computers are tied to Microsoft. Just telling you, this is why I switched to Linux. Now, is it a good thing that they can track down these servers and figure out ways to sinkhole them? Absolutely. But maybe we should actually be letting the authorities do this rather than them suing in a court, and the court in an international society going in and saying, okay, company, you corporation can take down the server. I'm happy that the malware is being stopped, but I do not like this precedent we are setting. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of that. And on to our chief story here on this one. Malicious NPM packages are part of malware barrage. So as people are creating programs, and this is affecting Linux repositories, open source softwares, basically there's a lot of libraries. And as we move away from a meritocracy type system where we want good, competent programs to build things, more and more script kiddies that can put together a few things with simple OpenStax instructions are becoming more popular. And they are the ones that are the target for this, because they're going to miss common repositories and put in repositories that are a letter spelling difference or something slightly different that still works, but ends up bundling malware in with the application. And so as we start talking about moving away from a meritocracy because we want more diversity or whatever else in programming, this is going to be a bigger problem. Whereas if we hire people based on their competency to do programming, this will not be quite as big of a deal. So basically what this is talking about is going in and looking at a lot of your different open source malware libraries. And what we have here is a list of packages, and these are actually fake packages that are closely related in appearance to real packages that you might tie in. But so like several of these are Discord things. Oh, I'm going to build something to tie into Discord. You accidentally grab one of these instead of the right one, and you've just installed a Trojan into an open source application that can then be distributed. This is also why I am against snap packages and the Linux distribution model, because if you got yourself a little script kiddie in there and they're trusting the vendor and not the application itself, because that's what Snapcraft said, they're not auditing the software anymore, you now have a greater chance of getting malware spread through a snap package than a competent Linux distribution who's able to look at the individual components of the software and determine if these things are in there. And so this is why it's important to have competency and meritocracy rather than other markers for employment. So what do you guys think about all that? And if you want to help support the channel, we do have a Patreon page. You can jump on over to patreon.com/TOMM, and that will support all my various sites. And thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.